From the time I was born, I was known as the sensitive one in the family. I spent a lot of time crying. Singing Rockabye Baby was banned when I was 2. Once my mother finally figured out the imagery of an infant crashing through the tree limbs was sending me into hysterics. Shortly after that, I announced I was never watching Tom and Jerry again because I felt sorry for the cat, who was just trying to get something to eat. Other cartoon bands soon followed. Roadrunner, then Sylvester and Tweety. Exasperated with all these failed attempts to keep me entertained in front of the TV, my mother eventually led me to the children's section of the library and told me to read whatever I wanted, which suited me just fine. When I was 4, my favorite place to hang out and collect my thoughts was under the kitchen sink, where I would curl up next to the Windex in complete darkness and ponder the mysteries of the universe. My mother would find me and tell me that the neighbors' kids were outside if I wanted to join them, and I would reply, "No thanks." When I got too big for the kitchen cabinet, I found my way into the cool cellar, flipping through our stacks of musty old National Geographic magazines, reading about Jane Goodall and dreaming of a life in the jungle amongst the chimps. Instead of grounding me when I was in trouble, Mom would kick me out of the house and refuse to let me back in until dinner. "Go play," she'd implore, closing the door, then locking it behind her. I'd sigh, then wander across the yard to my grandparents' house, where my grandfather was on permanent vigil in the foyer, reading history books. We would sit side by side for hours, reading. Then I would come back home and pretend I had been riding my bike all afternoon. It wasn't that I disliked all the other kids in the neighborhood. It's just that I preferred books to people. They were easier to put away when you were done. My mother was flummoxed at this development, having raised in my older sister, Chris, an archetypal extrovert who talked from sunrise to sunset. She tried multiple approaches to bring me out of my shell, with little success, as the options in a dying mill town in early 1980s Massachusetts were pretty limited. Gymnastics was an utter disaster, ending with me on the floor in the fetal position with a bruised nose on my first day. Dance was only slightly better, though I was always in the back row during the recitals behind the willowy girls with the swingy ponytails and impeccable rhythm. There's no joy in repeated attempts to squish yourself into a mold that you know deep in your heart is not one you are meant to fill. I soon learned that the less I drew any sort of attention to myself, the less anyone would think to ask me to do something I hated. Team sports, Girl Scouts, couldn't handle the door-to-door cookie sales. Lest you think I was unhappy scurrying around the margins of society quiet as a mouse, I can assure you, every day I evaded the notice of my fellow man was a victory, another day in my calm and peaceful fortress of inner solitude. It didn't take me too long to finally discover the comfort of being surrounded by animals. I was 5 when this was first revealed to me. "I have something to show you," said my jeju, the Polish word for grandfather, in his heavy accent one afternoon. Eyes twinkling with excitement, he led me to the garage. I wondered what it could be. Candy, I decided. Those little ribbon candies that always stuck together in a big, sticky, splintered mess. Or maybe a doll. Jeju and I were close, and I could always count on him to spoil me. Jeju, a World War II refugee, was a deer hunter. Every winter, he, my father, and my uncle would retreat to the densely forested regions of Maine with heavy flannel and a shotgun rack, returning with a deer carcass strapped proudly to the front of the Buick, a lifeless, limp trophy resigned to its gruesome fate. Assuming I was one with nature the way the rest of the family was, Jeju thought I would be delighted and overcome with pride to see the gutted deer body hanging from the rafters. Not so much.